Hi, this is Heather Fiore, and this is Module 5, Living in a Digital World. To summarize pretty much the articles we read, it was discussing the Web 2.0 and 21st century skills. I feel that these are very implemented in my school district. We have a ton of technology across all age levels. Most of our students and staff do use it. We do still have some that, of the teachers especially, that are a little less willing to bridge that gap in the digital divide because it makes them nervous getting on technology. They don't feel comfortable with it, and so forth. But as far as my district, we have tons of it. I mean, we have CAD classes, we have graphic design classes, we have makerspace, we have projectors, digital cameras, touch screens, iPads, Chromebooks, green screens, and the list goes on. So I feel like we definitely have a lot to offer our students to utilize. We're not a one-to-one district, I wouldn't say, but with Chromebooks, I'd say we're pretty close to a 1-to-2. So that's really good for the students. They have the availability to them to utilize the Chromebooks as needed. We have several computer labs in our school. Just in my library alone, I have 65 computers, PCs set up, along with 3 Chrome carts that hold 30 Chromebooks. So I have quite a few Chromebooks and PCs for the students to utilize as they need. We have a Wi-Fi system that's just been recently updated and is extremely fast and available for all our students to utilize, whether they're at school or in the surrounding area. We also recently had Sprint come in and give us it's called a 100 phone giveaway, basically, and what it does is they can give 100 phones away to students that do not have broadband or any kind of internet service at home, so that they have something they can utilize for their work, free of charge for the entire time they are in the school district. And then I believe 2 months after they graduate, they still have access to it and will be given options to then purchase a plan if they choose. But prior to that, there's no cost to them. I think some of the issues that we may run into is that there's a huge barrier between teachers, as far as, the teachers that utilize the technology and are able to share it and implement it, to the teachers that are scared to death to use the technology and just don't want to implement it because of their own fears. But overall, I would say that most of my teachers in my school and my district, I would even say, utilize technology for their curriculum. I think the biggest issue right now is funding to keep up with the technology. The more technology we add, we have to be prepared for things to break, need things fixed, and we have a decreasing funding every year. This year we're in a $14 million deficit, which is putting some tight grips on us losing teachers. And how do you build your technology when you're losing teachers? You need the teachers. So is it a teacher or technology you go for? So right there are some of the barriers to not bridging the digital divide. Okay, so do you feel the digital divide can be resolved? At this time, I don't feel it can be totally resolved. And the reason for that is because there's just too many factors. For one, money. If you don't have the money to buy the technology, how are you going to bridge that digital divide? It says that access is the major issue in the divide, and the access problem is because of money. They don't have the money to get affordable access. Not only that, but also age-wise. I think bridging the digital divide between age groups. A lot of older people have no desire to incorporate technology and don't want to learn it, are scared of it. So bridging it there is even difficult. And of course, then, looking at countries economically, some of them just can't afford. They're just happy to get food on a daily basis. So that's why I don't believe that we can ever fully resolve the digital divide. So what skills do I think our students need to have when they graduate? Well, I believe they need to be critical thinkers. They need to learn to think outside the box, to analyze things a little more. Don't just look at it and pop up an answer. And I believe technology does help in that, becoming a more critical thinker, because you got to learn to search and look for the answers. I think that's the biggest mistake of our students, especially being a media specialist, is they hop on that computer, utilize that technology, and think the answer is right there at their fingertips. Well, the technology may be at their fingertips, but the answer is not. They need to learn to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, and look through things to find their answers, collaborate with others, whether it's teachers, other students. They need to open up their lines of communication with each other and be creative. When I say think outside the box, I mean it in every aspect. Be creative, come up with different ways of doing things, learning things, and sharing things. A lot of our kids, instead of doing the common written report, will now come in and do a green screen. So be creative with their designs. What impact has the global economy had on my personal use? Well, of course, it's increased mobility as far as, your cell phone, iPad, and laptop, that you're able to use them wherever and whenever you want. For me personally, I do a lot of online selling, so it's opened up a broader range of areas for people to buy from me. I am now able to sell things to Canada and Europe and so forth, where before I was limited to just my current little area. So it's given me more mobility in an economic sense to help, with my extra little side job that I do. So that's where it's helped me personally, and it's also helped me personally with classes like this, being able to do them long distance and not having to worry about going to classes. I have 4 kids, 2 jobs, plus I do a little side job on the internet, and it takes up a lot of my time. So this has definitely helped in, closing in on the time that I have to be able to spend with everybody. It's helped in that manner. What technology training do I still need to effectively integrate technology? Well, as a media specialist, I use a lot of technology. I feel I am very versed in a lot of it. I'm not scared of it. So I'll try things on my own. I don't know necessarily that I can say I need training per se, because I'm more than willing to train myself. But if there was something that I had to pick, I would have to say translation, believe it or not. I feel like that's where it lacks the most. I have quite a few students that have come recently from Puerto Rico, from the storms that, they lost their homes and so forth, and have come over to where we are, and translation is a hard thing. If I can't translate to them, how do I show them the technology? How do I integrate it with them? I need to be able to understand and communicate, and they need to be able to understand me. So I feel like that is something I would definitely love to have training on. I know I can't learn every language in the book, but we have a high Hispanic population. I believe it's over 50%. So I truly feel that translation is something I would really want to help me to integrate my technology and to learn more. My school is definitely equipped with 21st century technology. As I said before, we have everything from the Chrome carts to the computer labs to the iPad carts, the 3D printers, which the kids absolutely love. The list just goes on for what we have. We have academies for it's called AMSA, where it's all they learn greenhouse and arts and the dance academy. We have everything's based around technology, though, and just creating an environment that's more geared towards 21st century skills and so forth. So yes, we have a ton of equipment and stuff to go with the 21st century skills, and I think they're doing a very good job of implementing it and continuing to grow. The advantages of innovative practices in schools is it provides a high quality learning experience for the kids. It gives them, creativity, thinking outside the box. It brings academics to life. It's not just that boring sit in the seat, listen to a lecture. It relates things to the real life and what they're going to experience when they're in a career, or just in everyday life, what we go out and see and experience. And again, they become critical thinkers. They're analyzing things more. I love this little saying online: we don't just browse, click, chat, and game. We invent, we design, we create, we build, we share. And that's what we do. And that's such a fun way of learning. I see it in my makerspace groups. The kids just absolutely love it. It's just hands-on, but yet they could be by themselves if they choose, or they can work in a group. So it's just a really great way to incorporate technology. Disadvantages, of course, money again comes into play. High cost of it. Not all students have the technology in their homes. Not all teachers are equally trained, nor do they equally feel comfortable with using technology. Technology can create poor study habits. Kids have a bad habit of, just taking what they find on the internet as fact, when in fact they need to, use those critical thinking skills and research it, look for more, make sure it's valid information. And as my next thing says, not after poor study habits, misguided by wrong information. A lot of kids I see in the media center doing that. They click on that first link and say, oh, here's my information. No, check it. Make sure it's valid. Learn to compare. Be that critical thinker and look at it all. And it's a huge disconnect from the real world, especially with social media. I see it a lot where kids are just so involved in their social media that there's no talking and interaction going on. So I think that's a big fail of technology, unfortunately, but it's something we can work on. And of course, there's the inappropriate conduct that you deal with, whether it's the sex texting, the cyberbullying, and so forth. Have I personally experienced any problems with cyberbullying? I haven't personally experienced problems with cyberbullying. I've heard of things throughout the school that have gone on. So yes, our school is definitely one of the schools that has cyberbullying going on, but I think most schools have it in some shape or form. Sex texting, however, has been a huge thing in the past 2 years in our school, and inappropriate pictures and sites. Unfortunately, just last Friday, I had a student who I caught on an inappropriate site. He was looking up anime, inappropriate anime. So with that, I had to follow the proper procedures and, address the situation. So unfortunately, you always have that unless you have some type of firewall up, which our district chooses not to have. Our kids have a compact, which they have to sign that they're going to be upstanding citizens and use the internet for its purpose. But as we all know, they are still kids and they will try and get away with the things, with anything they can. So yes, I have had that, and it was a hard situation, because I had to address the student, and luckily he was scared enough to say, yes, I did do this, and so forth, and we followed the protocol and he was written up for it. And like I said, you have to be aware of what you share. And I don't think these kids in this day and age are scared to share things, and they need to be a little more nervous to put things out there online and realize all the things that it could bring back to them. So that's my Module 5, Living in a Digital World. Thank you.